A very good afternoon to the Hall of Famer, Raging Bull, Gordon Tallis. How are you, mate?
Good afternoon to all the listeners. Yeah, another great weekend of rugby league, and it just keeps on ticking over, doesn't it? And the Dolphins are back.
Yeah, Mark Hughes Foundation, beanies for brain cancer, and it started on Thursday night. It was a phenomenal game, and this round has just been awesome and raising lots of money.
Yeah, it's a great cause. Hughesy's one of the great guys of our game. So, in the cold weather, if you're at any game, make sure you get a beanie. They're absolutely fantastic. I think Hoops has got one on right now, the grey one, which suits your Hoops. You look like Cess Waters, mate. Straight off the back of the trawler.
That's exactly what it looks like.
The trawler. Look at him.
It couldn't be any better. How are you, Hoops?
Yeah, very good, boys. As Gordy just said, cracking round a footy and beanies for brain cancer. What a wonderful initiative. I was lucky enough to interview Mark Hughes on Fox League on Friday night, and he is dead set in the grand final for the best blokes in the world. And it's a wonderful initiative started by he and the late Matt Callender. And it's just brilliant to see how much the rugby league community and the wider sporting community gets behind the brilliant cause.
Yeah, right. Jammer, how are you, mate?
Yeah, going very well, Ben. I know you're a fraction fragile today. I'm as fresh as a daisy. But like the boys say, what a remarkable piece of charity work that the NRL hold now on an annual basis. We're bitter rivals out there on the football field and often divided parties. But when the game needs each other, we come together like no other sport, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. Every team running out with the beanies on. And obviously, look, they sold out last night. They were completely sold out in Brisbane by halfway through the second doubleheader. Let's get into State of Origin if we can start. Yes, Hoops?
Just before we do, can I just check the Jammer's point there? Did you drop the ball off the kickoff there, Dobbo? What happened with that intro? It sounded as though it got chopped off and then all of a sudden... Sounded like the sting didn't hit all the right notes, and you just started. You just.
Well, he never does, mate. You know he's never off the back fence. There's no Spencer Leniu in him.
Yes, there is.
Sorry, Ben. I just thought I couldn't let that one slide.
Can I just say this now? I'm a starter. I'm not a bench player. So you want to refer to me, then I start and I come hard from the beginning. So be careful today, because I'm not in a mood.
If you did play rugby league at any stage,
well, I did.
Who did you dream of being? Like, is there
Martin Bella?
The Munster?
Martin Bella. Munster, yeah. I moulded my game like him, just hard and aggressive. Anyway, let's get into Origin.
He famously dropped that ball off the kickoff, didn't he?
Well, that was a very sad day, 94. 94 was a sad day. I don't forgive him for that. That cost us the premiership. The Dogs are premier. Anyway, that's another day. Can we get into Origin? The big news coming out of it for Queensland, and we will get to New South Wales and obviously their injury concerns, is that Kalen Ponga ruled out of Game 3. We're not 100% sure. Potentially could be for the year. It's a Liz Frank injury that occurred.
So that's a foot.
Yep.
That's like...
broken bone at the top of the foot. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it separates. I think it just separates from the others. I'm not a doctor, but yeah. So, well, it's a weight bearing injury. So you'd think that it'd at least be 6 to 8 weeks, and then do you force someone like that if the Knights have nothing to play for, or does he just go and wait for the next preseason?
That's the big question. That's
Newcastle, not the question. It's who's going to wear number one.
Yeah, and that's the one that a lot of people think. Hoops, obviously there's a lot of chat around over the last 24 hours. At 3 o'clock, everybody thought it was a Walsh audition. At 7:30, it's a Hammer audition. Where do you think they're heading at the moment from what you're understanding?
From what I've heard, Billy is leaning towards the Hammer, but I've got to say that surprises me, Gordy, because Walsh, I know he's off a PCL injury, and we watched that game last week when we were up in Brisbane, and he was clearly hampered prior to kickoff, but he got through the game. He was very good again yesterday in that victory over the Warriors. He just brings something else, and he's a dynamic style of fullback. Surely he's got to go that way, doesn't he, Gordy?
Yeah, well, look, you trust Billy with the number ones to get this decision right. I just think if it was my decision, taking Hammer away from the centre or wing, I think it weakens that. I think he's so valuable with his speed and his size on an edge that I'd be reluctant to change that, because then who's the next centre that steps up and goes into that position?
Well, they could put Val there and Taulagi if he plays, if the Cowboys play.
There you go. So we got options, and I trust Billy. Like if it was Glenn Lazarus picking front rows, you just let him do it. If it's Billy Slater picking a style and a number one that he wants for Queensland, but Reece Walsh wouldn't let us down, and neither would Hammer.
Yeah, if you look at the team from the last game in game 2, if you put Walsh straight in, then that's one change, as opposed to you move the Hammer to the fullback and then bring Talangi. That's technically 2 changes. Less is better in that sense. Walsh has been there before. He's been on that stage before. I think he would relish the opportunity to come back. I mean, look, I thought he was banging down the door anyway. But Ponga's, before this injury, he's not really been setting the world on fire.
No.
With his level of performance, the Knights have defended really well this season, which he obviously has a huge part to play in. But the attacking side of the game, he has stalled. Where if you look at Broncos since Reece Walsh has come back, he brings a different level of
well, they've won
football.
the last 3 games. He's played 3 games. They've won the last 3 games. They won against the Titans, then they won last week, and then they won yesterday. So you bring Walsh back in the side, it's no secret. I think the only question mark is that knee, and Hoops, you touched on that, is that 100% right?
But that's only a phone call to the Broncos medical staff and the phone call to Reece Walsh. Reece, can you get through 80 minutes? When you do, get a jar, is it like, how long does that last for? Can you get through with it? Are you confident on playing your style of footy at the biggest level? And if he goes, yes, well, that's it.
It's all systems go.
Dobbo, you're a part-time Queenslander with your ear to the ground up there. What's your mail about which way Billy's going?
Well, look, initially it was a given that Reece, I thought, was going to step in there after that injury occurred on Friday night. But then yesterday I heard of a couple of people that he was seriously considering the Hammer, and it was on Murray Tuolangi, his performance this afternoon. Let's remember that there's a game at 4:00 where it's going to feature a lot of Queenslanders in it. You've also got Jesse Arthurs, who played 18th man, who was 18th man for game 1. So potentially, I didn't think his game was as good as it could have been yesterday.
You wouldn't bring someone in making
those changes.
Making a debut and a decider.
That's
just my opinion, and it's above my pay grade on who Queensland pick. But if you pick someone that has played it before and knows the arena, because it's going to be one humdinger. You're going to play in front of a packed house in Sydney. New South Wales are going to come. They're going to be a little bit embarrassed from game 2 and all hands on deck. So you'd pick someone that's been in that arena, in my opinion.
The Selwyn Cobbo issue at Brisbane, though, is probably the biggest talking point around the Broncos at the moment.
Yep.
And that is that they've lost a Origin and Australian back who has now gone to the Dolphins, their arch rivals, and told his teammates on Friday in the morning, I don't want to hear the narrative from the Broncos, which I heard on Friday, that they had a great relationship and this is just unfortunate and everything like that, because they went out and signed Grant Anderson, be it for less money earlier on, and bought him. And if they've
left no money in the cap for him, and Hoops and Jimmy did a great job last week when we had Dave Donaghy in the change room. In our studio.
Yeah.
They don't want him. You cannot offer a state of origin. Did he play for Australia too, Selwyn?
Probably. Yes, Kevy. Yeah. Yep.
There you go.
When Kevy was coaching.
300,000.
Yep.
So it's a bit disrespectful. So if you do that, if you want to wear the black jerseys and do all that black dog stuff, when you do that to someone, let him go. If you don't want someone,
well, he'd like to leave now.
Yeah.
And they are
will
saying
they let him go,
Friday,
Dobbo?
Just showing that respect.
On Friday, the coach said absolutely not. But we all know in these moments...
But you can't be hypocrites, right, and do this and we do this and that's... So then you get this kid, right, and for some reason they're doing a narrative that he's lost this and lost that. Under the last coach, he was playing State of Origin.
I didn't like that, Gordon. No, you're
under
right
the
about
last
this.
coach, he's playing State of Origin. He's played for his country, and now under this coach, he's not good enough.
No, I didn't like that
either.
So
you just let him go.
Is there history with Madge and Selwyn? Is there something behind the scenes?
No.
Feels like there is.
Yeah, it feels like there is. But what I didn't like about and how this ever happened is that he left and made that decision on Friday, and then in the Courier Mail on Saturday, here is all this story that he sleeps in, that he plays gaming late at night, that all this stuff has come in and been written. Now Peter Bedell, it's not.
Who did he get that from?
Well, that's what I'd like to know.
Who did he get it from?
Well, I asked him, and obviously they're not going to reveal their sources. And I back Bomber's information that he's been given.
Yeah.
He's been given from somebody.
Yeah.
But
Coming
they
out of
didn't
the
tell you
Broncos.
what the Broncos didn't tell you is that there's other players, and I've got names. There's other players that have been late to training, like Dean Mariner. Has been late to training. I was told, has been late to training. He never gets mentioned, but Selwyn's late to training sometimes. Well, okay. Every player, I asked some people there, every player is late at different times. I just didn't like that.
Wendell Saylor got fined
discredited.
$16,000 one year. He was late.
It just looked like it was
In
discredited.
one go?
Kiri was late.
In one go, Wendell?
Oh, no, it was $1,000 a go.
16 times.
But, some people, they just don't turn up on time. And one day he missed training. He was up washing his car at a car wash with his shirt off, Wendell.
And we're supposed to be at
And
training.
they said, mate, the boys are down the road training. So there's some people that just don't, they don't read the schedule.
Yeah, but you can understand that, Gordy.
No,
it wasn't a good look.
Listen. Right? It's a breakup, right? You don't want him for some reason. Let the kid go. Right? He didn't go. He didn't play hardball. He didn't come in. He didn't price himself out of it. If you don't want him at your club, and that's the reason, because you've signed these other guys, and on the week where you say you got no money, you announce the 3 or 4 signings that you've got.
Yeah.
So there's no money for him. You just let him go.
You know what?
If you want to wear the black jersey and do all that stuff.
What about insurance for Carapani if he gets injured?
This is
No.
I
If
can
you want to
see-
do all that, and if it's all the mental health stuff, right, then you don't just embarrass this kid and then start doing that stuff. So you got to practice what you preach, in my opinion.
I understand that position, Gordy, but at the
Yep.
same time, from a selfish club perspective for the Brisbane Broncos, they're 5th, sitting on 8 wins and 7 losses. They're a chance of going on a run and trying to finish inside the top 4. If one of those outside backs gets injured, well, Selwyn Cobbo is a state of origin and international player at
He's
his
in their
best.
17. Go
Yeah.
ask every person in that organisation. Go ask every fan, is he in their best 7? Okay, I'll ask James Graham. Is Selwyn Cobbo in their best 17?
Yes.
And that's why I think that there's clearly some sort of personality clash
There
and
you
deeper seated issue behind the scenes
no
between Madge and Selwyn. That's what's really going on.
And
here.
they also, I know they're sitting 5th, but they probably don't want to give them to a team that they consider a genuine rival that they could
Correct.
meet in playoffs. I reckon there's, an element of the backup, but also
I get
the
all that
redemption story. Imagine, as it currently stands, week 1 of finals, Broncos would play the Dolphins. Now, I know we've got some time to go before that, but can you imagine that game? Selwyn in a Dolphins jersey, the Dolphins' first ever finals appearance, and they beat the Broncos?
Yeah, that
they've just gone, we don't want a bar of that.
Yeah, well, you're right. And if on that basis,
But he's not
you don't
in their
think they'll
best 17.
That's right.
They don't think he is.
So they've also got to try and sign Corey Pakes, and they haven't got enough money for him at the moment. So if they're going to sign Corey Pakes, maybe they get rid of him so that frees up the cap, because I think it would free up roughly $200,000 if they let him go now to the Dolphins. He also was signed with the Dolphins. If he wanted to stay, he would have stayed. He wanted to leave the Dolphins. So I'm a bit with you. I understand the insurance perspective. Carapani's going well. You've also got Dean Mariner there. They have got some depth in that area. But I feel like, I look at it now and I go, I don't know what's going on at Brisbane, and you can't keep everybody. But when you say names like Flegler and Farnworth, Capewell, and then you talk about Dearden, and then now you talk about Cobbo, and you're letting all these players have gone.
Cobbo will come back to bite him.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He's a good player.
There's a salary cap, Dobbo. That's why
Yeah,
they can't
yeah,
keep him
okay,
all.
but
Your
but-
mates with Adam Reynolds, they wanted to keep Renault. They prioritised that. Well, that
Yeah.
meant that at some stage,
They made
someone was going to get
Reynolds
squeezed.
Reynolds is not the reason that they couldn't pay Cobbo.
Yeah, because
Well, he's part
that
of
other
it.
money
They
could
all
go
are.
to him.
They all are.
Yeah, because if they get rid of him, so the money they paid Renault, if they pay Selwyn, he stays. Is that true?
Well,
roughly?
they don't pay. They pay Walsh. They pay Walsh $1 million instead of 1.5, or they pay. They pay
Reece Walsh is the reason why
Ezra
they're turning over $48 million.
Yeah, okay.
Reece Walsh is the face.
Well, do you
want to
be? Do you want to be a football club, or you want to be a commercial juggernaut? That's what you got to work out. And you know what?
Well, they are a commercial juggernaut anyway, Dobbo. That's the thing. It doesn't matter.
And that's what he's worth. So that's what he'd get in the open market. I'm just saying, right? A 35-year-old halfback.
He's not on the money you think he's going to on. You know,
would they have offered that to Selwyn? And then what they got left?
Once Michael Maguire got there, Gordy, I think once Madge got there, Selwyn's cards were always marked. It was always going to end this way.